Salut guys, it's Chief. I hope you guys are doing well out there today. So this is another spooky story for you guys. You know that I said earlier that ever since I was a kid, I loved any and everything paranormal, supernatural, any of that type of stuff, including aliens, Bigfoot, like the whole thing. All right. So I'm a little bit of a geek, but also I grew up in a family that we really just believed in that stuff. We talked about it freely. My family is Creole, so it was always just kind of everyday topics for us. So it's not anything abnormal. But so with that being said, this story is actually a true story, or a true story that I have lived through and that I have experienced, and I'm just going to share that with you. When I was a kid, me and my brothers, and my mom, we had an Ouija board, and we used to play around with it. My mom used to ask it like questions. She would have me and my brothers and some of my cousins. We would play with it, but she would have us asking it questions for her, and then of course we would play with it on our own when we were by ourselves. Um, Something happened, and my mom wanted us to get rid of the Ouija board. And I never did. I told her that I did. She probably knew that I didn't, because my mom has a strong intuition, a very strong sixth sense, and she always just knows things, you know. But anyway, so we didn't throw it away. I didn't throw it away. And one day we were playing with it, and we were asking it a bunch of just random questions, like, you know, things like kids would do. Who will I marry? When will I die? How will I die? Who are you? And just different things like that, you know? And nothing really stuck out asking those questions. Nothing really like hit us like we should put this up right now. But there was one spirit, and his name was Tony. And I remember Tony coming in, and Tony was very, at first he was very cool. He seemed very kind of laid back, and he would ask us questions. He would tell jokes, and he just seemed very lighthearted. And he would come up multiple times with me and my cousins when we would play with it in my house and in my room. So we kept the Ouija board at my house. It was my Ouija board. I went out and bought it. I was probably about 15 or 16 years old. So I was working at the time. I started working super early when I was about 14. So, you know, I always wanted to have my own. But anyway, so I had the money and went out and bought the Ouija board and played with it with my friends and my family. Tony kept coming up several times. Tony seemed really cool. But one day, Tony would say that we were going to hell, or that he was really a demon, and we put him up. You know, it got real scary for us, and I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was kind of a joke. I didn't really put too much weight on it. And there's one night in particular where it gives me chills just thinking about it now. When I shared a room with my brothers. We shared a room, and we had bunk beds. I was on the top bunk, and my little brothers, they were very small at the time, and they shared that bottom bunk, okay? And so I had a lava lamp as well, and the lava lamp was on, and it was going, and it was doing its thing. And it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning one day, or one night. And I remember after a session with Tony and with my friends, with one of my cousins. I remember specifically which cousin it was. It was me and one of my cousins playing with the Ouija board, and Tony came up, and he kind of threatened us in this session. My cousin got freaked out. I did not. I thought it was a joke. So I put the Ouija board under my bed, under my brother's mattress, trying to hide it from my mom, and so I can get right back to it tomorrow. I was a little obsessed with it. And that night around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, I remember feeling it just got extremely cold in my room. And I remember, it gives me chills every time I think about the coldness of it. I remember opening my eyes and looking around the room, because I just felt like something was there, something was watching me in the room. I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, but something was in that room. I could feel it, you know? And I checked on my brothers. My brothers was knocked out, dead asleep. And so I closed my eyes. And when I laid back down, I felt something kind of rush past me. and it was very cold. It was like cold air going past me. I hadn't really moved. I laid down, but not enough to where something like there would be a brush of wind going over my body, my entire body at that. At that moment, I knew that something was in the room. So I laid down, I closed my eyes as tight as I could, and I was determined to not open my eyes until the sun came up. Laying there for a few more minutes with my eyes tightly closed, I literally felt something slap me on the side of my face. I felt the entire handprint on my face, and I still didn't open my eyes. I sat there, I cried a little bit because I was terrified, but I never opened my eyes. I never moved again until my mom came in the next morning and woke me up. I actually ended up falling asleep. That day, that morning, after my mom went to work, she would wake me up to get ready and then to wake my brothers up to get ready so we can go to school. My mom would go to work early in the morning, so she would wake me up to take care of my brothers before or when she left. So that was my job, my duty. So I got up. When she woke me up, I was super scared, looking around the room. I didn't tell her anything that had happened. And as soon as she left, I took that Ouija board and I threw it away outside in the dumpster. Never saw it again, never had any issues again with it. So that was that. You know, I was done with it. I've never had an Ouija board since. I've been terrified to get one since then. Honestly, there's a part of me that wants to try it again, but I have not had one since, and I would not recommend messing around with it unless you know what you're doing and unless you're ready for whatever comes out of it, you know. I do think you have to be careful with dealing with things like that, and the veil can be extremely thin, and I think that you let things in that you're not aware of or want to let into your life and into your space, physically or spiritually. So I think you have to be careful with dealing with the Ouija boards. But that was my story with an Ouija board, my true life, real story. There's one more that I've had growing up, and I'll tell you guys that later. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will see you soon. All right, and also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. There's much more of this coming. All right, see you guys later. Namaste.